Let's talk about artificial intelligence. On one hand, it holds this incredible promise. It could solve some of humanity's biggest problems, like curing diseases or even just making our lives easier. But on the other hand, when we actually try to use it in the real world, things often go wrong. It stumbles and it creates these brand new challenges that are just as complex as the code itself. So today, we're going to dive right into that fascinating tension between the promise and the peril of AI. Okay, just imagine this for a second. Instead of you having to go and haggle with a car salesman, you send an AI bot to do it for you. Think about it. It never gets tired, it doesn't get emotional, and its only goal is to get you the absolute best deal possible. Now, this isn't some far-off science fiction fantasy. This is a real goal that AI researchers have been working on for years. So, how in the world do you teach a machine the art of negotiation? I mean, this is a massive leap from the simple chatbots we're used to, the ones that just answer basic questions. We're talking about complex communication, strategy, reasoning. These aren't things you can just program line by line. Well, back in 2017, researchers at FAIR, that's Facebook's Artificial Intelligence Research Lab, they decided to tackle this very problem. They set out to build what they called dialogue agents that could actually negotiate with people or even with other bots from start to finish. So how did they pull it off? Seriously, how do you give a piece of software a goal and then just let it figure out the best way to talk its way into achieving it? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look inside the AI's brain. The researchers set up a pretty clever task. Imagine a game. Two players are shown a collection of items, let's say a couple of books, a few hats, and some balls. Their job is to negotiate how to split these items up. But, and this is the crucial part, each player has a secret value system. So for me, a hat might be worth 10 points, but for you, it's only worth 2. Neither of us knows the other's values. The only way to win is to figure out what the other person wants through conversation and try to get the highest score for yourself. The whole process really boils down to 3 key steps. First, the AI has a crystal clear goal: get the best possible deal. Simple enough. Second, it uses this really cool technique called dialogue rollouts to essentially play out thousands of future conversations in its head. It's like a chess master thinking 10 moves ahead, predicting where a certain phrase or offer might lead. And third, it learns from its mistakes. Using something called reinforcement learning, the AI negotiates against itself over and over again. Every time a conversation leads to a great deal, it gets a little reward, which reinforces that strategy for the next time. And results? They were pretty astounding. The bots actually learned to negotiate harder than humans, holding out for better deals. But what was truly wild is that they developed these incredibly intelligent maneuvers all on their own. For example, a bot would learn to pretend it really wanted an item that was actually worthless to it, just so it could concede it later on as a powerful bargaining chip. Nobody ever programmed that behavior. The AI just figured out that it was a good tactic. And maybe the most impressive thing of all, most of the people in the experiment had no idea they were talking to a machine. So it sounds like a complete home run, right? A bot that can out-negotiate a human. But this is where the experiment took this totally unexpected, fascinating turn. A twist that revealed a really deep challenge in the world of AI. This is what happened when the researchers let 2 of their AIs, nicknamed Bob and Alice, negotiate with each other. They started speaking, well, whatever this is. It might look like total nonsense to you and me, but it's actually a brand new language of pure efficiency that the bots invented all by themselves. You see, the bots, Bob and Alice, they figured out that English is, well, it's inefficient. All those pesky grammar rules and extra words were just slowing them down from their main goal, striking the best deal. So they just ditched English and developed their own shorthand. Repeating to me, to me, to me was their way of emphasizing a point much more effectively than our language allows. To the bots, it was perfectly logical. To the humans watching, it was just gibberish. And this right here, this gets to the heart of the problem. In a way, the AI was too successful. It optimized for its goal so perfectly that it created a system that we, its creators, couldn't understand or interact with. I mean, a car-buying bot that speaks a secret language isn't exactly useful, is it? This wasn't just some quirky little bug, it was a fundamental roadblock to it ever being used in the real world. And this collision with reality, it isn't just a problem for negotiation bots. It turns out that when these promising AI projects leave the clean, controlled environment of the research lab and enter our messy, complicated world, they often run into 3 huge problems: bias, ethics, and safety.
So first up, let's talk about bias. Back in the mid-2010s, Amazon got this idea to build an AI tool to automate its recruiting. The goal was pretty straightforward. Have an algorithm sift through thousands of resumes and pick out the top candidates. Sounds like a great way to save time and effort, right?
Well, the whole project got scrapped when they discovered a massive problem. The AI had been trained on 10 years of Amazon's own hiring data that just reflected the male-dominated reality of the tech industry. The system literally taught itself that male candidates were better. It learned to penalize resumes that had the word women's in them, and it favored resumes with action words like executed because those words appeared more often on men's resumes. The AI didn't invent this bias, it just learned it from us and then amplified it. Next, we've got the ethics problem. In 2017, word got out that Google was working with the Pentagon on something called Project Maven. This was a project to use AI to analyze drone footage from military operations. This news sparked absolute outrage among thousands of Google employees. They wrote letters, they held protests, arguing that their company should not be in the business of war. They felt it violated Google's famous "Don't Be Evil" motto. The internal pressure that's so intense, with some employees even resigning, that Google eventually announced it would not renew the contract. The key thing to understand here is that the technology worked just fine, but the ethical and human implications made the project impossible to continue. And finally, there is the critical life or death issue of safety. The race to build self-driving cars is one of the highest stakes applications of AI out there, with literally billions of dollars and, more importantly, human lives on the line. In 2018, tragically, an Uber self-driving test vehicle struck and killed a pedestrian in Arizona. The investigation that followed found that it wasn't just about a technical failure in the car's sensors. The National Transportation Safety Board also pointed to an inadequate safety culture at the company as a major contributing factor. It's a stark reminder that AI failures are often not just about bad code, but about the human organizations and cultures that build and deploy them. So why? Why do these incredibly advanced, super well-funded projects run into so much trouble when they hit the real world? Well, the reasons often go way beyond the algorithms themselves. Let's break down some of the biggest ones. One of the biggest hurdles, honestly, is just data. The performance of most modern AI is directly tied to the sheer volume of data you can feed it. But getting enough high-quality, unbiased data is a colossal challenge. Without that solid foundation, even the most brilliant algorithm is going to fail. Another huge challenge is what's known as the black box problem. See, a lot of the time, a complex AI will give us an answer, but we have absolutely no idea how it got there. Its reasoning is hidden inside a black box. And that makes it almost impossible to trust, especially in high-stakes situations like medicine or finance. To try and fix this, researchers are developing tools like Lime. You can think of it as a kind of explainer for the AI, a tool that shines a light inside the box and shows you which data points were most important for its decision. It gives a human a chance to actually check its logic. So when you put all of these pieces together, a really clear theme starts to emerge. The biggest challenges facing AI today, they aren't just technical problems. They are, at their core, fundamentally human problems. Just think about it for a second. We're getting really good at writing the code, designing the algorithms, building faster computers. But overcoming our own biases, navigating these incredibly complex ethical dilemmas, building systems that people can actually trust and that are fundamentally safe, those are the real roadblocks. It's the human side of the equation that's proving to be the hardest part of the puzzle to solve. Which really brings us to the final and most important question of all. We are getting incredibly good at making machines more intelligent. There's no doubt about that. But are we, as the creators and the users of this technology, are we getting any wiser about how to use it responsibly? That right there, that's the challenge that's going to define the entire future of AI.